Years ago, I had chronic low back pain and even sciatica from a disc herniation in the L4, L5 segment of my low back. Fast forward to today, and I can use my back freely, and I haven't had an injury or a setback in years. My personal recovery didn't happen overnight, but now after having my own full recovery and working with thousands of people online and in person, I know that that full recovery is entirely possible, and you should too. Now that's enough talking about the why. Let me actually talk about the how you can start making improvements now. In all of the cases of people who have had low back pain, including my own, there's been one common denominator. None of them after their injury could round their backs well without pain. And all of them after injury, the more rounding ability that they gained pain-free, the less back pain they had. To the point where over time, you can gain the ability to round your back to levels like this, but I never, ever recommend starting here. Instead, start by lengthening the hamstrings in the low back in the same movement pattern, but with less force. We're still rounding the low back, but we have support with our hands and we're bending and extending one leg at a time, reducing any imbalances that you may have. Hands higher makes this easier. Hands lower makes this harder. Then once you have a comfortable and effortless palms to floor pike, you then have the option, but you don't have to move on to a loaded Jefferson curl like this, only if you're getting your form coached to perfection, because I want to address the elephant in the room. Rounding your back is not dangerous if you're doing things correctly. In my opinion, never rounding your back is actually even more dangerous in the long run, because if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you never use your back in a rounded position, then you're gonna lose the ability to round your back in a position. You're gonna get tighter and weaker, which will lead to injuries down the line. And the only two ways to injure yourself while doing this training is one, if you don't get your movements coached to perfection and you're doing them incorrectly, because that can result in injury. And number two is trying a progression that you don't have the ability to do yet too early and injuring yourself that way. For this example, I'm gonna use a scale of 1 to 10. If your current ability, your strength and mobility, is a 4 out of 10, and the level of progression that you're using is a 7 out of 10 in difficulty, then doing the reps at that level is going to hurt you. But that isn't something you should be afraid of, because literally every movement is like that. In daily life, if walking is a 5 out of 10 in difficulty and your current level of ability is 2, then you're gonna hurt yourself when you walk. So this isn't just exclusive to rounding your back. Rounding your back isn't dangerous. You should treat it like everything else in human life. Now here's where the magic happens. Let's say your ability is still a 4 out of 10. And then you take a progression that's a 2 out of 10 in difficulty, where you're like this and you're extending and bending one leg at a time. Then this is going to be pain-free work that will increase your ability over time. You'll get to a 5 out of 10, then a 6 out of 10, then a 7 out of 10, and you can work through harder levels of difficulty. So while you're working your way up in these progressions, if you get pain at any time, simply regress the movement down to an easier level and build yourself up from there, being patient along the way. Now this is just one of 20 unique movements that we use inside of Pain Free Online Training, which is hosted on the Pain Free app, which we have all of our pain-free programs where you can follow the program and track your reps, your sets, and your weights along the way. Along with that, we have all the movement tutorials in one place, so while you're following the program, you can learn the movements and make sure you're doing the right progression. That system has made progress incredibly easy for our members, and I still use it to this day. Along with that, all of our members have a one-to-one chat with me inside of the app where you can ask any questions and get coached along the way. This is the exact route that we've taken that's resulted in over 1,000 success stories in the 2 years that we've been running the program, and we continue improving to this day based off of our members' feedback. On top of that, if you're not a current member, on the website I just added a feature where you can choose the price of the program so you can get the help that you need at the price that you can actually afford without any issues. And as always, I recommend for everyone to do their own research and come to their own conclusions before joining the program, which is why we have all the information laid out on the website. So you can check that website out on your own time. There is no pressure on joining, but I would love to see you in there along with the rest of us.